You know, if I had a nickel for every Legacy sequel I saw this month with an aging but still capable star and a beloved franchise I have affection for, I have two nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that happened twice. Hello, everyone, and welcome to my look at Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, the first part of a two-part finale to the long-running Mission Impossible series, which, depending on how when they resolve the dual strike, will be out a year from now in 2024. So let's begin. The movie picks up at least a few years after where the previous installment, Impossible Fallout, left off, which sees Ethan Hunt, played again by Tom Cruise, who's being tasked with trying to stop a rogue AI known only as the Entity, which, if the wrong hands, could plunge the entire world into chaos. So, admittedly, not really a stretch, especially given how this film came out in a very timely fashion, as this dual strike we're currently in, the first we've had in decades. That was one of the major sticking points. And I won't get into any major spoiler territory. But if you see the movie, you're likely gonna know what I'm talking about. And how it manages to make the usual missions even trickier, or when it can anticipate a person's every move when they're basically just data in cyberspace. There's an early scene in an airport in Abu Dhabi that helps demonstrate this as well, and even this opening in the Bering Sea. And yes, I have heard the anecdote about how Tom got that submarine to film that and bookend the film as well. But at this point, you know how both the franchise and the actor have been some of Paramount's most reliable and most resilient partners. At this point, what he wants, what he gets. Yeah. Even as someone who isn't as big a fan of him as others, especially knowing what he's like in human terms, I still understand why he keeps getting work even as he's old enough to be my dad now. I definitely made Mark the Last movie Fallout as my favorite from 2018, nearly 5 years ago, and I stand by that. It's rare that any franchise, especially one of this length, gets better as it goes, but somehow this will manage to pull it off. Especially with Christopher McQuarrie, he definitely having directed uh, the previous two movies and also going to be directing this two-part finale. I definitely say that the base jump off a motorcycle jump into a parachute jump off a mountain was definitely well worth it, and especially it was done for real in the Alps in Austria. And they actually managed to get a lot of things right. You'd see about like you can try and knock out a hip woman, or about a steam locomotive, which is a very famous one of that. You rarely see that in any film, let alone a blockbuster of this magnitude. This, as well as the next entry, have a combined budget of $290 million, a new record, and you see every bit of that money on the screen. And much of the action is possible shot practically, everywhere from Rome to Venice to the other locales I mentioned. And there's a very impressive shot near the beginning, in which the attempt on Macaulay's life actually had to look successful just to maintain the cover, which, even as someone who has openly admits never having seen the original TV show, these films are basically a worthy standing up here with the likes of the Bond series in terms of spy fiction. I still submit this genre is second only to horror as being able to adapt to a changing cinematic landscape. Eh, Especially, there's always going to be a time where we're not entirely sure who or what to trust, and this is definitely one of those times. Yeah. I believe they kept as much the same crew as they did from the previous installments, ones that McQuarrie worked and the script they've is quite tight. I'm especially liking not just the existing cast returning, such as Ving Rhames and Simon Pegg, but also especially like Palm Clementif as this hit woman they have to try and hunt Ethan down, so to speak, before he can unravel the secrets of the entity. And there's also faces that were actually very briefly addressed in the very first movie in 1996. I won't mention exactly who or what role they play in the plot, but when you recognize them, you're definitely going to get it like I did. I mean, I would have liked to have done a retrospective on the earlier in the series before this one came out, but then my Paramount Plus account started acting up again. Of course, I have no problem taking your money, but haven't forbid they actually get the stars to work correctly, but I get ahead of myself there. I mean, just shy of 5 years since the last movie, I think I already have another entry on my favorite films of this year, and it's already my favorite to be released so far in Q3. I know we still have a couple months to go, both August and September, but it's definitely going to be pretty hard to top this, I'll admit that. I mean, it's since, along with John Wick Chapter 4, it definitely proves that indeed practical action is alive and well, in age of siege you can do almost anything, and an age, as they say, is just a number, so to speak. I mean, doing a serious analysis, as said this, what I just saw, wearing a Matrix Toon Squad shirt, a Journey's hat, and about to go into very strange coming attractions. I'm definitely glad I chose to accept this mission, and it's definitely well worth your time, all 2 hours and 43 minutes of it. My final rating is 4 out of 4, and now on to said coming attractions. Okay, so August the 4th, Meg 2 The Trench, the sequel to the 2018 surprise hit. Looks every bit as goofy and tongue-in-cheek as ever for me, which, well, it definitely has like the plotting of some of one of those shark movies you'd see on sci-fi, like I used to back in the day, but production values of a much bigger blockbuster, as well as actors like Jason Statham in the lead. I mean, I'm not ruling out the possibility it could be the novelty could have worn off by now, but I am very much open to the idea of another big dumb shark movie in the doldrums of summers, so to speak. Yeah. 11th, Gran Turismo. I kind of expected there to be more video game adaptations in the pipe, especially after the billion-dollar hit of the Mario one, as well as both the Sonic movies and Detective Pikachu making respectable nine-figure amounts of cash at the box office. I mean, first that's I'm keeping an eye on this one because really focusing on the realism of the not only the game source material but also the races that they're going like the biopic route that kind of did Tetris earlier this year. I also really have the other films director Neil Blomkamp in the past, and also like how the cast, which is led by David Harbour and Lando Bloom, both of whom have been quite capable in the past, as well as having other ones other than George Sharlto Copley and Digimon Hunsao in the cast. I'm not saying I'll be seeing it right away, but I at least have more confidence in this than I do like Twisted Metal series on Peacock. And that's kind of almost not a huge Twisted Metal fan either. Okay, so August 18th, Blue Beetle. Even though the second trailer looks marginally better than the first in terms of production value and actually laying out the storyline, I have decided with some consideration just to wait for it to come to Max because it was usually going to be made for that platform anyway. Hey, and I reiterate that I'm not a huge Blue Beetle fan at all, and nothing I've really been presented, apart from the casting, is standing from other superhero origin stories, especially in the whole reluctant hero archetype as well. I mean, if I want that, I think there are other like Kamen Rider series from Japan I could just watch instead, and then also Shin Kamen Rider is also coming in Prime soon. Should be cool. And yeah, apart from Aquaman Lost Kingdom, I think had no issue waiting to see what's happened with the reboot either. I mean, so there's that. Okay, so last but not least, the Hunger Games prequel, Battle of Songbirds and Snakes, which now has a new date on November 17th, presumably to give a breathing room with the Marvels, as well as other releases such as Disney's Wish. So, I have not read the book. I think I will have to before I decide I want to see this one. On and I kind of like some of the things they're doing with the Capitol in terms of presentation. It's distinctly different from what they did in the main movies, where it's still showing a very almost ridiculous sense of opulence as the districts become ever more starving and destitute. And kind of interesting how it becomes like an origin story for Snow, who. So I guess this is going to be like something like a Joker kind of Cruella kind of deal as well. I mean, to see how he became the villain whom we know and love to hate as well. Anyway, and also, but definitely hopes that on top of like the book being written by the same person, we also have, I think, Lawrence also coming back to direct. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, that'll be all for now. I'll see you all again very soon. Take care, everyone.